Anthony Warboner, and Papa Al Debrecht. This is the very first session of Homebrew Hangout where we chill, spitball bag ideas with each other, and try to flush out some shit for homebrew campaign settings, possibly creatures, maybe even some mechanics. All right, that's all I needed. Thank you. Thank you for indulging me in that.
Yeah. I was letting you go. I was hoping you'd just keep fucking going.
I can. Don't forget to hit that like, smash that subscribe, ring the bell, followers, so on and so forth. Should I keep going? I can. I really don't want to, but I feel like you're now forcing me to.
If you want to, go ahead, but I'm not gonna go, you have to do this now.
You know what's fun? Today's sponsor, Easy Roller Dice. I'm kidding, it's not. I'm not a...
you know what? It's better than the other one. I was expecting you to go, Raid Shadow Legends.
You know what I like doing? I like playing Raid Shadow Legends. No, I hate playing Raid Shadow Legends. Let's see here. So if I share, we're gonna name this before sharing. We're gonna name this Al's World. For those of you watching my stream, I understand that you're seeing something completely different on my screen for right now, and in just a couple of seconds here, you'll be able to follow along with. All right.
Oh boy.
Poopy doo-doo head. So I just sent you the link to your Gmail for you to be able to
got it.
Do this with. I believe I put you in there as an editor. Yeah, as an editor.
Got it. So you want me to copy and paste everything that we have in the Discord and just put it in here?
I mean, if you want to, man, that's up to you. That's fine. Can you see my stuff, by the way? I don't know things very good.
On my screen right now, it's still showing Notion.
Okay.
Now it's showing the doc. There we go.
There it is. Boom.
God, you piece of shit.
So with any amount of luck, this should be updating in real time. Now, for anybody who doesn't have the pleasure of being able to like shoot the shit face to face, this might be very good because I believe on Al's side you should see me say that.
Yeah.
What was it that I said?
You said poo poo.
Ah, there it is. Hey, it worked. So it should update in real time, which is actually something I just found out about like last week when we were going over the questions for the working title podcast live Sundays at 3:30 PST. No, I'm kidding. I'm sorry. Yeah, this should be nice and relaxing. Now that the ads are over on Spotify, let's turn that background music back up. Ooh.
The ads are on. Wait, what?
I don't have a Spotify Premium account. Ever since I got YouTube Premium, it was like, you want one or the other. So I'm like, all right, well. But I got Spotify playing the background music by Stream Beats. Royalty-free music, 100%. If you look at the top of my screen, those of you watching, Harris Heller, Mute City, got that nice little now playing going on.
Okay, but yeah, so the first portion is what I had written out originally, my quick half paragraph rant.
Yeah.
My quick half paragraph cool thing, and then the second one was you going further into it.
So
yeah.
Yes. Give me one sec here.
So I said in mine, the player should all be different races. But I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be it. The reason why I said that at the beginning was, if you're an elf and the party comes to you and none of them are elves, you're immediately going to be like, all right, cool. You want me to do this, but my people don't want me to do this. So
sure.
I'm not going to do it, you know?
Yeah.
But but that could make it more fun. Like, okay,
sure.
We're having a problem. You go take care of that. I'll have a little bit more trust in you. And I'll compromise, you know?
Oh, yeah.
So I don't. Yeah.
Well, let's see here. Let's fucking see here. Let me just read up on what I had previously said. Coalition of races. Yep. I mean, are you highlighting this still?
No, this is just copy pasted from Discord, so it's
weird.
a different color. Which I kind of like because that stands out from what we're going to write today.
It's a coalition of races. Fantasy magic shit, but eventually the dwarves started modifying themselves with metal to help blacksmithing and mining. Sure. Enchanting metal. Yep. Again, following one charismatic dragonborn. Is that one charismatic dragonborn someone that I would be personally very knowledgeable of? But when he passes, the campaign starts for his speaking. Right.
I mean, like, we could make it if you want to.
I just don't.
You're going for it.
I don't know.
And I like the idea of that, of having him, because your idea of his repercussions is he's respawning constantly in different worlds.
True.
I don't mind it being cool. Here he is. He is now looked upon as because he has, and not to mention, excuse me, I just smacked the mic. But not to mention, he's already come from Alosia, which had basically the tier 6 technology of Stars Without Number, where magic and technology have basically melded into the same thing.
True.
So he would be like, oh, you guys are on the brink of something great, and we can make it better.
Yeah.
Here, let me fucking help. And
Let
then
me
like,
show you,
he's the smartest man of all. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Because, I mean, he is a natural leader, for what it's worth.
Yeah,
I mean, even though
yeah.
his current stats aren't very good with charisma.
Yeah.
But, yeah, you know what? I like that. I like that a lot. Okay, let's go with that. If you want, that's up to you. I mean, this is your campaign. I'm just
No.
I
definitely like it. I mean, that's the thing is, the other people, the people who are going to play the campaign aren't going to know a single thing about it.
Yeah, true.
Unless we make like audio logs that they can find out in the world or something.
Yes,
But,
I love the fucking, what is that? Fallout like recordings.
the holotapes, yeah.
That's it, holotapes. How fucking good.
Gary.
God damn it, dude. Why are we doing this? I'm kidding.
Because Gary is fucking great.
Gary is great. If you don't know, Fallout 3, the vault full of Garys, man. That's where it's at.
Oh god.
It's easily the best.
Gary.
So, at any rate, back to topic. Back on the topic. So, we're looking at important events. Sometime later, the elves begin enhancing themselves. Okay, so you're basically taking what you've got here and turning it into bullet points, right?
Yeah, and then eventually we can add like a timeline of like, this is before Balthazar, and then after Balthazar. Which after Balthazar would be the campaign notes, more or less, but yeah. Yeah,
so one thing that stands out is that automatically, I mean, at least one thing so the players are all different races that are tasked with bringing other races back together, right?
Yeah, the main premise of the campaign is the players are like, there's a coalition of like, let's say Balthazar's like bodyguards or whatever that go, we need to send people out to get the leaders of the elves, the dwarves, the orcs, all these other races to come together, and we need to choose a new leader among us, you know?
Yeah. So, I am wondering, how do you spell hierarchy? Hierarchy. Yep. Cool. So, I am going to, at least on mine, we've got, let's go ahead and add this little guy right here. We're going to call this the research window. I'm adding this to my stream because I've got right now the feudalism hierarchy. Because almost all high fantasy, if not all high fantasy, is feudalism, right? That's not what we want. Get out of here, you. It's always feudalism. There's like a monarchy, so on and so forth. That's always, it is what it is.
Yeah.
So let's see here. So there it is. So for those who are watching my stream, you can see here that we've got at the top kings, bishops, barons and lords, knights, peasants, and so on and so forth, right? So if we had one person, so this is supposed to be a democracy, right? If I'm remembering correctly, which I'm probably not.
Well, so the idea was have it be a democracy, but then after Balthazar dies, or even then, like Balthazar would kind of be like, I'm not the guy in charge. I'm just like the head scientist. I will help you guys further, but I'm not the guy in charge. And then have a democracy behind him, but almost like a puppet government, because that guy would still go to Balthazar and be like, hey, I'm having a problem. How would you deal with it? The same way that I come to you about problems and I go, hey,
elected
this
officials
bitch about to fuck me over.
I mean, elected officials always have like a council behind them, right? That's kind of that's just kind of like a standard. So it would make sense if we were to have a feudal hierarchy dressed as a democracy.
Yeah. You could put that in.
Oh, whoops, sorry. Yeah. Yes. I mean, no, I don't want to. But yeah, I will.
I'm part of your cool stuff. I'm edgy, low.
That's what.
I'll put it where I want to.
That's what Aridin was supposed to be. Oh, hello there, Dragon Craze. How are you? Welcome to some hangouts.
Just took the augmentations to other.
So, the premise of this kind of cyberpunk world
takes forever. Thumbtack fixed
in
that.
a
It's the app
current
that finds people faster.
like D&D
People to teach your
would
kid
have a
ballet,
feudal hierarchy that's
or
dressed
fix
as
your
a
kitchen
democracy
cabinets.
off of the
people who
premise
make you
that's
smile.
highlighted.
Who can cook for a party of 50
So
and make them dance.
that would
Thumbtack
mean
instantly
that
finds
there'd
you
be a
pros in your
Balthazar.
neighborhood and your price range.
Well, that would
Ready
be,
to help with pretty
let's
much
just put
anything.
leader,
Download the app and start your
who would
next
be
project today.
backed
Thumbtack.
by a committee of some sort, right? It would either be a committee, or you could call them the baronies, the lords, whatever you want to call them. And so the committee. Thank you. Yeah, you know what? I mean, sorry. So, Dragon Craze actually correctly pointed out that I spelled feudal wrong. Because I've got my head all twisted on backwards right now. Yeah, so
I mean, it could be futile. It could be a futile hierarchy as well.
You're not wrong. Thank you for that. Actually, I totally. God, you would think that I. Never mind. School doesn't exist anymore. So, you would have your leader who would be backed by some sort of a committee, right? So this would be their barony, yada yada yada. If we're doing a weird amalgamation of feudalism and like modern government.
Yeah.
So in this premise, that one leader who united the rest of these yeah, but I mean, anybody else isn't really gonna know unless they've been watching for a while who Balthazar is.
Well, that's why we can call it. Yeah, that's why we can just call him by name.
I mean, yeah, but like, you know, you want to make it personable, I guess. I don't know. Maybe you don't. Who knows? So you've got a leader, you've got your committee, and then you have the players, right? So this is the scope of interaction, if you will. So then you have the players. So now, if we a feudal oligarchical democracy republic. Nice. Okay. You know what? That is
what?
I think that's like extremely accurate. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, here. One sec. Thank you. Dude.
So we're just gonna leave it. We're just gonna leave it that way until we're done, so that way we can tell these are the old notes and these are this is what we're taking.
I'm very no, dude. That is. Don't be sorry for that. That is actually much appreciated. Oh, I don't actually have a Discord. Sorry, dude. I'm like a fledgling right now, trying to start this up.
Yeah.
But that is actually very much appreciated because, boy, I'll tell you what, it gets it can get kind of frustrating when I'm trying to go over this in my own head, and if I already have like the wrong information. But nice, man. So we'll have the players who will be approached by this committee. I assume. I mean, how long ago, Al, would you say that you wanted it to be? Like, at what point are the players inserted?
I would say, okay, so the very beginning, where the dwarves come up with the idea of basic augmentations, I would have that be somewhere anywhere from, let's say, 100 years to 70 years before the players are started, before the game starts. And then probably 50 years before the game starts is when Balthazar would come forward and be like, let me help you guys out. And 50 years is where they begin the big city, which we'll name to something at some point, which is where the hub of everything is going to happen. And then from there, almost like a hive city in 40K, it'll just be built out over the land. So eventually it will become, what is this, the city from Final Fantasy VII?
Which one?
Midgar?
Yeah.
The big city in
Yeah,
so it would eventually become that, where it's just they're building more and more out, and like over time, that's where the fractures would come in. The elves would go, "You're starting to cut down too much forest, and we either need to replant it." The dwarves are going, "We can't mine anymore because you guys are building like over our mines and stuff like that." And then small fractures would come up because they're advancing so much, and there's already a unity. They're not going to be like, all right, I want to butt heads right now. Afterwards, then the problems would arise, kind of thing.
Okay, so
yep.
Because I'm trying to think, when would the players be like injected into like the actual, like, when are they going to go? I appreciate that. When are they gonna go like, oh hey guys, you guys are here. Maybe you can help us sway the vote, because I believe that the main premise of the adventure here is going to be try to sway votes, since their main leader, if I remember correctly, right, like tasked with bringing other races back together. So that means that they basically have to like persuade. To become more unified.
It would be I guess I like, this is the thing is, this is all just a blurb and now we're building out on it. I would say it's almost like, hey, let's get all of the world leaders together, bring them here for like the funeral procession, so that way it looks more professional. And then, or like a memorial service. And then afterwards, okay, we've got everyone here. Now we can start dealing with their problems or something like that. I don't know.
Okay. So the quest around the world. So just bringing everybody up to speed. The premise of, like, the broad form premise of the campaign that should be starting here in about 6 weeks is that it's space, right? So it's futuristic. There's interplanetary and intersystem travel. So one of the worlds that's going to be traversable to is going to be like a high fantasy race, that like a high fantasy world that has more modern feel to it, if you will. Like
like it's still fantasy, but it's just that having people go, well, yeah, I can dig with a pickaxe, but if my arm was an auto pickaxe, then I wouldn't have to work as hard, you know.
Yeah.
And then from there, it just like it's the same thing as, okay, cool. We started out with a rock, and then we made a stone axe, and now we've got a steel. Like now we've got an iron axe, and then we've got a steel axe, and what's next? You know?
Yeah.
Hand axes.
I have to completely
literally axe hands.
I have to completely interrupt. I am so sorry, but Dragon Craze, thank you for the follow, man. That's awesome. I appreciate that. I usually have my stream elements up, and it should have made a big old explosion, but I appreciate that, man. Thank you. As we were, there we go. So, sorry. I totally got thrown off track. I feel like I should have been more prepared for this. God, wasn't expecting this.
To be fair, this was kind of spur of the moment, so yeah.
Yeah, but so okay, so run that back one more time for me. While I'm now back in it 100%.
What do you need run back?
The quest. At what point are the players actually going to be injected? You were saying something like the funeral procession?
This would be the players would get started at, okay, they're waking up, they work in the Imperial Palace or whatever, and then during their morning routine, like the same thing with any Section 0. You cut from one character to the next character. What does your morning routine look like? Oh, I make a pot of coffee and I take a shower and I do my morning exercises, and then I'm off to work after I watch the news or whatever. Yeah, it would be that, but then on their way to the Imperial Palace or wherever they're working, if they don't want to be like working in the Imperial Palace, because you're going to have the player who's like, I don't work there, actually. We've all had that player. They hear over the news or over like radio or just by passerbys, hey, I heard that the Lord is dead,
In our group, there's only one person.
You know who I'm calling out.
I know. All right. So, okay. So we could say that the broad form quest
is
nice.
The first. So it would be two different steps. The first step is get the world leaders, have them come back to the capital. Second quest would be unite the world leaders, whether it's doing small quest or whether it's just going from one to the other and going, hey, they're willing to make this compromise, cool. And then from there, the world opens up. Where like the third part of the quest could be going out to find the new oracle, basically. Except we won't make it a year. Yeah, except we won't make it a year long, and they don't have to go get 2 oracles from every fucking continent. Jesus Christ.
So we're gonna use just the broad form like terminology for like, so gathering delegates. We'll call them something else, or we won't.
Yeah, like when we're just broad forming it now, and then we'll do finesse painting later. Yeah.
Back to the single location, which would probably be something along the lines of like a Senate building or something. We'll call it like this version of the UN building.
Yeah.
Okay. And then so that'd be the first one. So they'd actually have to travel this planet.
Learn more about our
and then talk to these people. Assume that maybe information travels slower than it should. You know what I mean? Like you could even hint without actually being a part of it. You could probably hint at, like, since it's modern times, like a suppression of information, potentially.
Yeah, exactly. Like that was the reason why I was like, probably they'd hear it by passerby, or if they're working in the UN building of the palace, then they're getting told directly, like, hey, we're trying to keep it on the down low, but big guy's dead. We kind of need to get everyone back together and find out where we're going from here.
And you guys have plausible deniability, because if the players who are just workers, just regular Joes, get caught or are suspected or implicated in something, it's like, nah, those guys are crazy. They're just a gang of terrorists trying to spread fear that the leader's dead.
Exactly.
He's totally not dead.
They can take the fall without it being put back, you know.
Dope. All right. So, then that'd be point 1, we'll call it, right?
Yeah.
So we got point 1. Now let's get point 2. Point 2 is going to be after they get them together.
Basically, fetch quests for the lords, and that's something that when we start nearing that time, then we can start. Okay, this is what the dwarves want, or this is what the elves want, you know.
Yeah.
And then go from there.
So then
It's
once
like
they get
Skyrim.
them there, but
It just works.
I'm just gonna swim away on that one. All right, so then
16 times the detail.
once they get them there, oh, check out this god race. Once they get everybody together, then it has to be like a persuasion to like, hey, even though this one leader isn't here anymore, maybe he can, like, maybe we can still coexist because there was one person. So how do
that's the thing is, if they're exploring the villages, like if they go to the elves, for example, first, and they go to the elves village and they aren't just like beeline it to the guy, hey, get your ass over there, and instead they mingle with everyone, they can kind of, oh, hey, there's a small group of elves that don't like this guy and want changes, you know, and then bring that up, and that might affect the elf going, oh, you know, like self-reflection almost.
Okay.
for the leaders. If they're spending time there, they can self-reflect. They can bring up stuff to the lords, and if they do it right, self-reflection. If they do it wrong, that person's going to be a bit more angry at them and be like not a lot less, but a little bit less willing to cooperate with this now because it feels like they're, you know,
dope,
almost being blackmailed. Yeah.
Well, so if you see what I said or what I wrote down, so they basically have to persuade the rest of them to stay into a coalition. Yeah. Because it's been a shell with like one central point, and then as soon as that went away, it's beginning to implode. Maybe. So let me just go over my thought process here. This is at least the way that I've done it. I've started with the quest. And then from there, we can use like basically ecology to go like, okay, so who are the people who would want it? Who are the people who wouldn't? And then you can tackle them individually. And then eventually we built out a whole world. So we're starting with just what the players are going to encounter. And then we'll build out from there. So this would be it right here. Here's your first half of your first arc. And then your second arc of the quest for this particular planet. Okay. So now, whoops, don't want to do that. So now, let's go with the good, and then, well, we'll call it the good, but you know it's subjective. Let's give it a good old heading too, and underline. Okay, so the good. So this is just topically, because I would assume that you're gonna subvert expectation or keep it in a gray area, because as we all know, you know, good and evil is subjective, and in most cases. Yeah, so that's a good question. Just a sidebar. Is it going to be flying? Is this going to be like super futuristic space flight? Is this going to be like our modern times flying, where it takes 6 hours to travel a couple thousand miles?
No, I think I don't think it would be that's like, because we have to make it a reason for them to actually quest out. Otherwise, why the fuck wouldn't the guy just go out himself and be like, all right, cool, you come here, you come here, you know? Well, no, the king.
Oh,
because remember, we're making like Balthazar basically the advisor, like the noble advisor, the guy that everyone turns to for knowledge. And now that he's gone, the king's kind of like, oh fuck, oh shit, and everyone else is going, oh fuck, oh shit.
Oh, okay.
And but so I think possibly bringing it so that we have cyberpunk as technology for augmentations and stuff like that, and then Balthazar was slowly leading every other industry up with it to that level, and then he dies. So yes, there's like radio and there's television and stuff, but let's say there is plane flights or something like that, it would be much slower, more prone to breakdown. It would be more reliable to go on foot, or some reason to get them to go on foot or by vehicle. So
this would be, you would probably want to approach this like what is that? Any one of the simulation episodes of Star Trek, because the players assume. I'm assuming that this is for like the campaign, like the cyberpunk campaign that we're starting.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, that we would want to be kind of quiet about the fact that like, oh yeah, there's all this other civilization going on out here. Like it would have to be one of those like, we're one of you, even though, you know, some of us have robot arms and robot eyes.
Exactly.
Like, okay, so it would. I gotcha. Okay. Let's see, how can we rectify this? All right, so good people, the people that you will present as good, right, are gonna be who?
Let's see. So this is the thing, is I don't want to make anyone seem like bad, except for, you know, like, for example, as a player, if I go, oh yeah, the orc chieftain is standing ahead of you, you're gonna be like, all right, I'm very worried now. Like, I'm gonna have my battle axe at the ready because this guy might be pissed off. So yeah, but I think everyone having a good thing about them and then having a bad thing about them, almost like the Chaos Gods in 40K, where you can look at them from a bad perspective, but from a good perspective, it makes sense as well. You know. Are you getting me? Or
I mean,
so like, for example, let's say the dwarves.
Hold on,
the dwarves are very steadfast.
Real quick. How would you paint Corm in a good way?
You mean Corn?
Corn.
Yeah.
How is he good?
Even though he is bloodthirsty and very, very much an angry boy, he won't betray you. Is that like, that's supposed to be the thing? Is, for example,
not to get on too much of a side tangent, but between him and Nurgle, who understandably loves you just how you are. I love Papa
so like,
Nurgle.
that's supposed to be the thing, is like, every one of them has a bad aspect, but there's also a good in that aspect of evil. For example, we're going off topic a little bit, but that's fine. For example, Tzeentch, the god of change. Yes, he wants everything to change, but without them, there would be no invention. There would be no advancement in technology. Yeah. People would be fine with being stagnant, which is what Nurgle is. Nurgle is representation of stagnancy, but also representation of finality. There is death because you're not constantly changing. Same thing with Khorne. The idea of getting murdered with the chain axe is bad idea, but he'll never betray you. He'll attack you from the front, because that's the honorable. He represents honor. He's like a knight almost. He's got that chivalry to him. He'll kill you, but he's killing you from the front in a duel. You know. So
when you approach, like when you have an NPC approach a character, or like the players for the first time, you'll portray them as like a gray personality of like, or like of a gray, let's just use the D&D term alignment, right? So like, you'll approach them as like a, we don't fully trust this guy, but we're gonna work
exactly for it. Like if they try to use like an alignment spell, like, you know, detect good and evil or something like that, it's just gonna be, hey, he's gray, he's not bright, he's not dark, you know, he just seems like a normal fucking guy. But like, for example, with the dwarves, we could say that they're steadfast and true, but they're also very fucking stubborn. They don't want to change their ways as much as the humans and the elves want to. Whereas the elves are very adoptive of change, but they also abandon traditions and stuff like that because the new hot iPhone is out. I don't need my old one. I can just throw that away.
It's the iPhone 48X. Sick, bro.
Yeah. Bro, okay. Mine's got 10 cameras on the back now. Woo!
So, because I mean, like, the only reason
hey guys, sports cards nonsense. I will be your host, Mike Giuseppe, the brand new show on the.
So the only reason why I bring that up is because for you it is, you can come up with this on your own, but I would assume that you would probably want at least the person who initially is approaching the players to come off as like good. You know what I mean? Like, you guys gotta help us because otherwise it'll be chaos and we'll devolve into tribalism and so on and so forth, right? So even like, you would want to hook them with like a noble cause, unless we end up playing an evil campaign, in which case hook them with an evil cause. But regardless, like, you'll want to have like a divvy it up in sides, because if you don't do this, bad. If you do this, good, right? So if we break that premise down, we can break down into like, who is good, who is bad. At least on the surface, right? Like Papa Nurgle loves you just how you are and doesn't want you to change, but he's still going to enforce like festering and rot on everything.
Yeah, there's still a lot of pain with that good. Yeah, exactly. Like, that's the thing is, I would want them to, like, yeah, he comes off as good, but to his people, if they're in the cities, they'll hear, he seems good to you, but that's because you've been around him for a few hours, and you haven't been living under his rule for 200 fucking years, you know?
And in D&D terms, right? Because of course, when you play Warhammer, where humans are not like good, elves are not good,
like that's the thing is every race
good.
In Warhammer. That's the thing is, I want to make it less like D&D, where like, like, for example, if you look up in the player's handbook, it says usually tieflings are evil alignments. Why can't they be like, that was the entire reason why Therai was a good alignment cleric, was I was like, why the fuck can I just go against the norm? So that's the thing is, I want it to be like, this person was chosen as a leader by the other civilizations.
Sure. So
of course he represents the best of his people, but he still has those not so great elvish or dwarvish or tieflingish tendencies, you know?
Okay. Yeah.
I want to represent it like any 40k faction, where yes, they represent a good portion, but there's also a horrible evil about them. Maybe not horrible, but there's still a bad side to them as well.
So then do we break it up into factions instead of like just good versus evil?
Yeah, I would go, okay, these are the good points of the dwarfs, these are good points of the dragonborn, these are good points of like, so
if let's just break it up without being like good or bad points, let's just break it up into factions. So I assume that factions in this point would be the different races on this planet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wait, so then when you say factions, do you mean like alliances? Like, okay, well Dragonborn work very closely with the elves and
not yet, not treaties and stuff yet. All I'm thinking of is like different nations. I'm calling factions like nations, factions, so on and so forth. Got it. Yeah. So we've, because I assume that mostly they're still pure, with some slight mingling in between, like a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
So you would have dwarves, you'd have elves, and of course we're gonna change the names for these. You'd have humans, I can only assume.
Yeah.
How many of these different like nations? Let's just change that now. How many of these different nations are you wanting to have on this one planet?
I'm thinking just the basic D&D races for now, and then we can add, like, for example, the Kenku and the Aarakocra might just be like part of the animalistic nations, which has the Elephadons, the Eladons or whatever they're called, and the Turtles and all of those people, kind of because they were smaller tribes, just came together and formed their own faction.
All right. Let's see.
Yeah, no.
Hold on. I'm just going to the player's handbook for now. We're gonna go to the choose the race. Let's see what we got here. Chapter 2.
Oh, you've got a fucking ton of them.
Well, okay. So dwarves, elves, halflings, humans, dragonborns, gnomes, and then the halves, and then tieflings. So I can only assume that besides the halves, you want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different nations.
Yeah, and then like for example,
some weird ones in there
the
that are like lessers.
The Warforged, we could just say, oh, those were like assistants created by the dwarves. So those are included, like the dwarf. There's the dwarf leader, and then there's the Warforged leader, and they're one boat together in the Great Alliance or whatever. And then the humans are their own alliance, and they might like half orcs and like half orcs, half tiefling, not half tieflings, but like half orcs, half elves and stuff like that is also considered it. Like they're given the choice of, do you want to be with the elves or do you want to be with the humans, kind of thing. So not all half elves are with the elves. There's like probably like a 40-60 divide between the two or whatever, you know.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm trying, just personally, I'm trying to paint in broad strokes at first, and then we can deal with numbers after the fact.
Like for now, let's just go with the base, the base ones that are in.
I want to get a good feel
in the player's handbook, and then later on, if we want to, when we're building, like when we're actually building the world map, then we can go, oh, this can be like the Atlanteans or whatever, you know. Who the fuck knows? I don't know all the D&D races anymore. There's so many.
I mean, dude, let's see how many. Let's just for giggle shits, right? Let's just see how many we have here. If we go standard, let's go to race.
Oh god.
Oh boy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39 if you include some of the expanded upon ones, and that's not including sub-races either. Bro, you may have an actual UN on your hands if you wanted to, like, try to give everybody.
Yeah, there's a fucking ton of them.
Good.
So,
God,
like, that's
man.
the reason why I'm like, we could combine some of them together. For example, like I was saying with the Warforged and the Dwarves, that makes perfect sense.
And why not? I mean, we can get into that nitty gritty later. But so currently, just like again, broad strokes, and then we'll hone
just
in.
The base 7. Yeah.
So we've got them all here. We've got the 7 here. So now that we have this, we can kind of like start to do bullet points for each one.
Mm-hmm.
And then those bullet points can turn into some more bullet points. But if we start with the dwarves, alphabetically speaking, so the dwarves, you already had said, do what? Bring me back up to speed on the dwarves.
The dwarves are very steadfast and true, but also very stubborn.
Okay. So what about their nation? Imports, exports, are they...
I would say metals, tinkering, like most of them professionalize in mining for metals or blacksmithing the metals. And then there's a few that go off to college and come back and like are able to be brokers for trades and stuff between other nations.
So production heavy nation.
Yeah.
So they produce some shit. Of course, they mine, they smith, they do that. Then that also means that they are also heavily involved in commerce.
I'm thinking of the elves, and I'm just like, what if we just made them hippies?
I mean, have you read up on wood elves?
Bro,
They basically
down.
are.
Let it chill, bro. Here,
That's
just take a smoke of my pipe.
that's
and
kind of how.
afterwards your mind will just fade.
Now I'm gonna make that.
Like if it,
No, that's gonna
like,
be my character. You could take Codex, throw him right out of the window. I'm now gonna be a wood elf stoner druid.
Yo,
But,
I came from Elysian, bro. Best pipe weed ever.
So, you're like this close to just being an ASMR channel now. So
No.
let's
Don't forget to come by Mondays for the D&D ASMR.
ASMR.
Bro, today we're gonna build more of Elysian. Cool.
All right. So
Tuesday.
So if the dwarves are like production heavy, right? That means that they actually have like the means, right? They all have. I would assume that dwarves, since they would have like all of the raw materials. They would have all of the well, putting it bluntly, they'd have all of the armor and all of the weapons. Like they would have
Basically,
like the
they
most.
would be
Maybe
they
not
would
the
be
most
the
advanced.
Mechanicus.
Yeah.
They'd be the Mechanicus to the Imperium, where they can go, listen, you want to crack down on us? Fine. Say goodbye to your metal. Say goodbye to all of your fucking production. We'll just fucking sit on our asses and do jack shit. Fuck you. What are you gonna do? You're gonna come fight us? Not with the shit that we made, bitch, motherfucker.
Okay. So they're the best defended from potential threats.
Yeah, like that's like.
Which would cause them to act a certain way. If you knew that your nation could literally police the rest of the globe with sheer firepower.
I'm imagining that if this was the Imperium, they're kind of like the Mechanicus, where yes, they will build all of your shit and they will give you the metal to build all of your shit. But at the end of the day,
it's their
without
shit.
them,
Yeah.
without them, you have a substantial amount of fighting power loss.
So
both in man numbers, well, I wouldn't say man numbers, but both in technology. Like they're the technological. You need them for the technology, and if they strike, everyone has to kind of go, "What do you want from us now?" kind of thing.
Yeah. So that being the case, you could say that they probably are pretty aggressive in negotiations, right? Because they know.
Yeah.
They know, like, if you don't treaty with us,
they know. Yeah, they know that they can
Okay.
ask for a higher price on their goods, because who the fuck else are you going to get these from? The Dragonborn? Maybe, but it's going to take them a hell of a lot longer to get your order ready.
Sure.
We've got it right now in the cart.
Yeah, but
You just need to pay 10% more.
I'm not talking about like commerce. I'm talking about like as in like global treaties. They would be more. They'd be much more like like our former administrator as bullish. They'd be much more willing to push their points when it comes to treaties, because they know if you don't deal with us, when of course, because the shit's always going to hit the fan. It just depends on how fast, right? When the shit hits the fan, if you're not allied with us, then you're clearly against us. That would make sense.
And that's the reason why I'm like, they're stubborn, because they're very much the mindset of you're standing with us or fuck you.
Yeah.
We're going to trample over your dead fucking carcass.
Okay.
Cool. Bye-bye.
All right. So that might make them a little standoffish when it comes to the players specifically, if they have to go on like a diplomatic meeting with them to basically go like, hey,
yeah, that's
maybe
the thing
you
is,
guys should just come here and like hang out or something.
Like I think if the players were to succeed there, they would have to be like almost like a show of strength. Like, show us you can do as well as we can. Go in the mines for a bit. Show us that you can.
Certain.
Show us your harvesting. Like, work a day in our boots, and then we'll talk, kind of thing.
For sure. So okay. So I mean, that's three pretty good points about the dwarves. That's enough to start, right?
Yeah.
So if we move to elves,
and then again, we could just flesh out more as it comes to mind later on, because we both have the document now.
Yeah, and not to mention the fact that the party, like our group, probably won't get to this world immediately unless we're starting here.
Yeah. No. That's the thing is, I'm imagining that the city that they're starting in is going to be very like. Well, let's just get to the humans next. Humans are the main people that populate. Like,
it's like a
yes,
virus.
Dragonborn.
It's the smell.
Like, yes, Dragonborn. They're like the Eldar of 40k. Yes, the Dragonborn are stronger, but when you have 100 humans against one Dragonborn, who's gonna win at the end of the day?
Yeah,
probably the 100 humans. You know.
So humans are the most populous.
Yeah, most populous work the most menial jobs.
That is a word. Haha, I knew it. I didn't know it. So they're the most populous of all the nations?
Yeah.
Question mark? Okay.
And then I would probably have it be most humans work, they're kind of the middle of the ground. There's no outstanding flaws about them, but there's also no outstanding strengths. They're kind of like, if you wanted to make your own D&D character, you would start with the human because they're kind of just good at everything, but they're also kind of just not great at everything.
So looking at this from like a zoomed out perspective, right? Like a completely meta perspective, would you say that they were like the low key backbone of this planet because they go everywhere? Yeah, they're like Visa, they're everywhere you want to be, and they perform, or they at least have the ability to perform most tasks. Maybe not like craftsman level like dwarves, but like they can still mine the shit for the dwarves who then can smith it. And they can, so you could say that they are the sleeper backbone of the global economy in this world, meaning that.
And I would have it be that everyone accepts the humans, but like I would say that no other race hates the humans. Like, for example, the dwarves and the elves are going to hate each other because the dwarves are all about labor, and the elves are all about like, let magic do it for you. Why the fuck not?
Oh sure, but I mean,
but between the both, they both accept humans because what the fuck is a human gonna do to me? You know, he can help out. He can help out with clerical tasks and stuff like that, which we don't professionalize in. You know, so they can do things that other races. For example, the elves are going to be very, like, when it comes down to chopping trees and knowing which ones to chop, the elves know which ones to chop down, but they're also not the strongest, so you bring in a workforce of 100 humans and go, all right, this section, they're all dead trees, cut them down. Humans do it, no problem.
So
because they don't want to work with the
I don't know if you see what I put here, but it sounds to me like you're saying that mostly, like, I mean, obviously there's like a human nation, right? But mostly humans would be scattered amongst everywhere because they have no unifying threat or motivation, which means if you pissed off every single human, a lot of these places would actually feel it. But because but because they're so spread out, it doesn't really cross most people's minds. Yeah. That, oh, hey, these guys are actually like, they outnumber us 10-1 in most nations. And we're using them like middle lower class citizens.
Well, and not to mention, like, piss off Joe Blow over here. He tells his cousin over in the Dragonborn territories, and now the Dragonborns are hearing rumors about you guys being fucking dicks.
Yeah.
And
or if
you don't want to piss off the Dragonborns.
Or if you provide just a single martyr and something that like most humans are like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden, boom, like, I think that's actually really dope. That would be like, and this is not all of this has to come out in whatever adventure we end up going on in this planet. But it's nice to be able to pull those threads just in case something like that were to like pique someone's interest. Like, I don't know, maybe tell me about the Dragonborn.
Okay, so the Dragonborn are almost like the dwarfs, very, very honor bound. If they give you their word, they're not going to back down. They will fulfill that contract. But at the same time, they're very reclusive. They don't like interacting. Like, humans are everywhere. The least amount of humans would be found in Dragonborn settlements and the Dragonborn civilization, because Dragonborns prefer to do it themselves. They're very I don't want to say one note, but I can't think of the name. I can't think of the word right now. But they're very
singularly
like
focused.
The dwarves. Yeah, like the dwarves, they're very stubborn. They get along with everyone because everyone, you can't get a better deal than if you have a Dragonborn mediating the deal for you. Or if the Dragonborn is on the other side of the table from you. But at the same time, they have the lowest amount of numbers. They have the greatest fighting. Oh God, I'm getting too much into detail. But like, lowest amount of numbers, greatest strength.
Like physical strength?
Yeah, like it would take 10 humans to do what one Dragonborn can do in a day. You know,
which is why they outnumber them 10 to 1. Course.
Yeah, well, like, I mean, yeah. Like, they're very reclusive, but they're very honor bound, and I can't think of anything else right now.
Okay, well, here, so that's a good starting point. This is how we build it, right? So
yeah.
They are. Let's just say that they hold to word, right?
Yeah.
So
I would say after the death of Balthazar, they're even more reclusive now because they think there's foul play at some point. Like they're like,
okay, so there's
Balthazar seemed fine to us.
So like the nation as a whole is
very
suspicious
and reclusive,
which is part of being reclusive and sus about.
It's very sus.
The death well, we can call him the most popular public figure.
Yeah.
Okay. Which would be nice. I mean, it might make them to do like a North Korea situation, right? Where they just kind of close off their borders and they're just like, nope.
Yeah. Like after the most popular dragon, after the Dragonborn.
So here's the thing,
dies,
right?
They kind of just go, all right, close borders. Like, we don't want any of y'all to fuck with us right now.
So here's the thing. What are they holding in their pocket? They got something, right? Like, granted, they don't necessarily have to, but I feel like for a Dragonborn to die, for a Dragonborn to die, and for them to like cease all communications and just like block off the rest of this world, they've got to be doing something.
Are you thinking akin to Alosia? Because I'm thinking akin to Alosia right now, where either in the past they have done something tremendously horrible. So, like, let's say, for example, they summoned a dark god or something like that, and now everyone is kind of wary of them, and they're more wary of everyone else. But everyone still knows if a Dragonborn pledges loyalty to you, he will not leave your side until he is dead. You know.
So you're saying that they hide a dark secret?
Yeah.
So if they're hiding a dark secret, something about the death of this public figure might be bringing it closer to the surface. So they might not necessarily be plotting. They might be doubling down on hiding.
Yeah.
Okay. The death
and then we can go to detail on that later on.
Yeah.
Not on
the
stream,
death of
because I don't want to reveal all the secrets to players.
I'm
in case any of them are like, I gotta go back and watch the VODs to make sure I get everything.
Dude,
take notes right now.
I will abuse my friend privileges with people in order to get them to watch these VODs, because you and I have come up with some great shit, and this is the first time that you and I have done this on stream. But regardless, the death of the public figure may bring it to the surface. How about the fact that none of those Dragonborn have ever actually have a record of Balthazar besides when he showed up? Anyways, so we got to talk about elves. We skipped right over elves.
Yeah.
Which elves they play a big part.
Yeah.
Augmentation.
I would say.
So
I would probably have it be most in touch with nature. Like they are, like, probably have them be the only ones that are able to talk to gods and communicate with like forest spirits and stuff like that. Everyone else has now lost that with like even the humans had a little bit of latent magical prowess, and then as soon as technology came out, kind of dropped it, and we're like, yo, but instead of like communicating with the dead, I can just get a recording of that person and then listen to it forever. So why? You know.
So okay, so if they're naturalist, if they deify things, right? Because most of the nations don't, right?
Yeah.
Then how is it that they become augmentation? How is it that they begin enhancing themselves? So it would be using nature.
Yeah, but they're still like, as it says, the elves begin enhancing themselves with augmentations. Eventually, they begin adding magical effects to the augmentations. Mm-hmm. So instead of like the dwarf would just go, a robot arm, cool, that will help me dig better. The elf looks at it and goes, but there's something lacking, and they would inlay it with wood or like their augmentations flavor-wise would be less metal and like still the same amount of metal, but more ornate ornamentation with them. They're more high class. They think of them. Their problem is they think of themselves higher than everyone else.
So they're also
because where every other nation has one god or two gods, they have 20 because there's a different god for this section of this forest and the mountains and the seas and like maybe even eventually like raising up a god of like oh, there's a god of technology as well. But that kind of religion is kind of hushed down a bit.
Okay,
you know?
so you're saying that they have successfully blended technology and nature, and I put in the notes that they would be using this divine power to do such, right? So it's not arcane magic; it's more natural magic that is brought from the gods. And because these elves deify their gods, they're actually able to get power from them, which they use to amplify.
Hey,
and this is the thing is, unlike other civilizations where humans are willing to just cut off an arm and replace it with a mechanical part, or the dwarves who are like, we need to do better, so off go the fleshy hands and in come the shovel bucket hands. The elves are only like augmentation was like a last resort of, hey, my leg is bad because a wolf caught it and it had to be augmented, it had to be chopped off. Might as well get a replacement leg there.
Okay.
But again, compared to the other augmentations, it's much more ornate. There's inlaid wood and like pearl and stuff like that. Like theirs is much more opulent than everyone else's augmentations, which is just chrome and gold and stuff like that.
Well, yeah. Okay. So, obviously that means that there's less of them, right?
Yeah. I would have it almost be akin to... I wouldn't have it be like there's less of them than humans, but there's more of them than
there has to be less of them than humans, right? But yeah, exactly. So they're
still very populous, but they're not like they're like where they once held the title of being the most populous and kind of being like the high lords. Now they're like the people who hide in the forest, and there's still a lot of them, but they're dwindling in numbers.
Trying to relate it to like our actual world IRL. I'm getting like the like UK feeling, right? Used to be real good, like real big. UK traditionally, historically speaking, phenomenal.
Tons of colonies, all
and
that
now
stuff. And now
they're not quite as populated.
They're not horrible.
I believe.
But,
let's see. Yeah. Population of UK. Let's see. 66 million. Population of US. Aren't we like 144, or have we gone up?
I think like 180,
Jesus.
right?
No, we're at like 382. All right, yeah. So
yeah.
So that's
that's
actually
good.
That's actually perfect. So they're like, you could say like England, except where they are smaller, they are significantly more potent than like humans. They might not be as physically
they're not as physically strong as Dragonborns. Yeah, they're not as physically strong as a Dragonborn. they're not as strong as a human, but they're more agile, they're more adept. They know how to use their surroundings better than a human would.
So there's less.
If you had a human in an elf fight in a back alley, the elf would still win just as much as if you had. Well, I'm saying, I get
what you're saying.
Even outside of their element, they're more resourceful. I would say that they're more resourceful.
Yeah.
Like, they can do a lot more with the small amount of metal than most other races could do with a ton of metal.
So what I put in the thing is that there's less of them, but their tech, air quotes tech, right? Or well, actually it's actual quotes. Their quote tech, which is their divine natural augmentation, is far more potent than the other races. Meaning that like their bullets are gonna hurt because their bullets do force damage instead of regular old bludgeoning damage. You know what I mean? Like shit like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what would that mean for them as a country? We've got them as a people, like their culture, right? They're pretty natural. They do a good job of utilizing this power that they've both given and been granted.
Redwood Forest, right?
What? No. What?
Where it's just the Redwood Forest in California, the huge fucking trees.
Oh yeah.
I'm imagining that, but just
yeah, dude, you can't talk elves without having at least one city that is a hollowed out massive Deku tree.
No, I'm imagining their forest.
Yeah.
Like the humans have their forest, and the Dragonborn have their forest, and who knows, the dwarfs might have underground forest of like mushrooms and shit like that.
Yeah, there you go.
The elves' forest, because of their attunement with magic, is grows much bigger, is much denser, and all their buildings are out of trees. Like their skyscrapers are just giant trees with glass windows.
You know what I'm picturing? I'm picturing the mega cities from Judge Dredd, but trees. Yeah. Like you know how they have Megalopolis,
exactly that,
but trees. So massive clusters of super massive trees that almost hit lower Earth orbit. Okay. So we've got that. We've got that is like that's their culturalness. But what does that mean in regards to their relationship with other nations?
Again, I think they would be. I think probably the dwarves and elves put down the whatever happened with the Dragonborn's dark secret. But
I would say
they're friendlier to fledgling nations, like probably the Halflings and the Gnomes. They have better terms with than they are with the more established nations like the dwarves and the humans.
Okay. So they would be like... That was an abrupt stop on that background music. That's funny. I'm trying to think. They would be... I don't want to say like a middle of the road, but middle of the road. Like they...
Yeah.
Who is someone that does that currently? In our world, like IRL. I'm trying to think. Like, would that be like? I
think your idea of the UK is just good with that.
Yeah. So they.
Because I mean, when you think of the UK, you just think of tea drinking. You don't think of like, they're really good for this thing or that thing, except for the chocolate. The chocolate's pretty fun.
Personally, I think of every Guy Ritchie film, but that's just because
God damn it.
I've taken in far too much movies, man. But all right, so they
are a meme yourself at this point.
I'm changing. No, so they are far more willing to. I want to say negotiate, but I don't. They're far more willing to. Let's just say
I would say they're far more willing to negotiate from a higher point of power. Like if they're winning a battle, if they're winning in a battle, then they would come to you and they'd be like, here's a treaty that's not half bad. It's really fucking shitty for you, but like if they're fighting against, like if they're losing in a battle, they'd rather retreat and go to a more advantageous spot and then beat your ass and then go, here's a treaty, yo.
So what I'm looking at is that they're far more willing to treaty with smaller, meaning like second or third world nations.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if the halflings are actually smaller, like in like population and presence, or if they're just shorter. But if they're willing to almost like build up smaller nations, as opposed to just dealing with the big three, which would be dwarves,
I think it would be they're more willing to build up smaller nations, because then they can go the same way that the UK did with us. They can lord that over them and go, oh, you can pay us a tax for this. Like, oh, you want these resources? We have them, and you should get them from us because we do it much better than the humans do.
Is it subservient?
But we're gonna charge you more tax on it, or there's going to be something that you're giving us in return.
So they want to utilize smaller nations or less developed nations as a resource.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, that's good. That means that they're not all like, they might be in tune with nature and the divine, but it also means that they're willing to punch down and leverage, which there's your half and half. There's your your what is that? Your gray. All right, cool. So, what about halflings? Because
this is one I've been trying to think about, and I can only think of kind of isolationists. They deal mostly with the elves.
I mean, okay,
but they're not isolationists because, like, the Dragonborn are isolationists because they're like, we did something bad in the past, and we don't want people looking down on it, and that's why we always honor our word. I want to have it. I imagine the halflings would be more like, yeah, we'd rather just not, like, we don't want to be here for the bickering. I'm just here for the feast afterwards, fucker.
So this is one thing that I'm just trying to figure out is like, okay, let's put it this way, right? So halflings, right?
Yep.
Looking at them in lore and history of just D&D, right? They started as hobbits. We know a lot about hobbits. We know that hobbits are lazy, like actually lazy, right? We know that that hobbits are closed off, so that there's the isolationist. We know that they're more about enjoying life. So how can we turn that into a relatable nation? If that makes any sense. How can we turn that into You sneeze?
No. I'm thinking this is more like Australia.
Okay. Let's take that premise. Mm-hmm. Australia, right?
Yeah.
Was a prison island.
Originally,
it started. I'm not saying bad. No. Hold on. Let me draw the lines first. Don't get ahead. So Australia started off as one thing, became its own thing, right?
Yeah.
So maybe, like, what are halflings good at? Halflings, mechanically speaking, in D&D, halflings they're really good at being dexterous. Let's just find out. So I'm pulling up D&D Beyond here.
Best classes for halfling.
So
need answer immediately.
I'm starting a forum. All right, so halflings, right? We know they get a +2 to Dex. They have a lucky feat, or not feat. Well, basically, they can reroll their ones, right?
Yeah.
They. Let's see here. Let's see. Halfling traits. So they're nimble. They're not fast, but they're nimble. They're brave, so they have advantage against being frightened, which means there are no pushovers.
Because the best things in life
they have halfling nimbleness, which
that's
just because of their stature.
Red, white, and berry seltzer. Flavor
and then they're good at a couple of different things, whether it be being wise or being charismatic. right?
Yeah.
And then there's ones that are stout. So basically they are, let's see, they're agile little fuckers that are good with reading people, and they're good with dealing with people. That sound about right?
So
in D&D,
you would rather have what?
So what
maybe
I'm getting,
they're better at doing in a modern society.
Yeah.
Maybe they're better at doing, like they're good at being mediators between
exactly
lands.
Exactly. So they would
So
have a natural,
almost like humans, but more specialized. Like if you come to my table to deal with my business, and you're bringing a human person, cool. I might be able to leverage a bit more because humans aren't that great. If you're bringing a halfling to the table, I now know my margin of being able to go, we agreed on 40, but what about 45%? The halfling would be like, no.
so
Whereas the human might be more like, sure. Why not?
I don't know if you're
Doesn't
seeing,
sound that bad.
I don't know if you're seeing what I'm putting in here, but we've got the, I'm just writing this. This is just like as you're talking. I'm
Natural delegates, lawyers. Yeah. No. I think like
they would be
better
good.
at doing. Yeah.
They have a natural affinity towards interpersonal relations, right? So that means that they are like the treaty makers. They're the deal makers, the law makers. Their whole nation is built on fucking communism, man. No, their whole nation is built on
insert Russian national anthem here.
Their whole nation is built on the economy. That's it. It's the social economy. So what would that
probably have them like if we were looking at a world map, I would have them probably be like the center of the
dead
world.
center,
Like
exactly.
Everyone they have the hub town
Yep.
where the Imperial Palace would be in this town because they negotiated, hey, we're negotiating with every other nation to help build here. We're gonna have it in our town, and you're gonna accept that fucking deal.
Net neutral territory. Their country is neutral territory in regards to
Sweden.
They are Sweden. Okay.
Yeah.
Please don't do a Swiss accent when you do this. But regardless.
Oh, you're the Borgy.
I mean, you know what? Let's go with that. Sure.
You know what? Done. I'm done helping you now, Al.
I gotta go. No.
It's getting kind of late here. I better take off.
So this is good because you know what else? Neutral territory. If everybody has to go to your house, right? That also means that they probably make for the biggest spy network. They can run the CIA and the FBI all from there because everybody deals with them.
No. I want to save that for the Tieflings.
If you want,
spy network.
Okay, so the biggest spy network.
I want to have
Tieflings.
I'm imagining that because the Tieflings are also very, very, very charismatic.
True.
So
but
I would
I'm
have
of like
the Tieflings
sneakies.
be. Go ahead.
Oh, I was thinking like sneaky, like.
Yeah.
Like,
the Tieflings are much more sneaky, but also.
No. I mean halflings. Sorry.
Oh well.
Because
actually, no. You know what? No. Yeah.
Like sneaky, like espionage, like actual espionage.
Yeah.
Maybe they have the largest espionage organization, and they take just like how they deal with other races. Maybe they take on other races and train them as agents. So that way they can put like FBI or CIA outposts everywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. What would that mean about their country? If you had a country that your whole country was just talking to people, divulging, not talking, but like getting information. And also maybe you're naturally just really sneaky. What would that mean for your country? Like how culturally, what would it look like? I doubt it would be like everybody holds a dagger behind their back, but like
Most people probably have a holdout weapon of some sort.
What would that do to a civilization where their whole business was
I think
deals?
Like, what I'm thinking of right now is very bureaucratic, like more so than way more than the U.S. Like there is paperwork for this, and there is paperwork for that paperwork, and there is a million pages to read to understand all the delegations in that first piece of paperwork, let alone the second piece.
Okay, so they're Vulcans. They're small Vulcans from Hitchhiker's Guide.
Yeah, exactly.
This is useless. All right. Okay.
But they're more charismatic about it. Like they can yeah, you should read all 900 pages before you actually get to work on this giant fuck business deal. But
because in
hey,
subsection,
come on, I've got a trusting face.
In subsection 24A, exception B, that you just allowed them to put a fucking wiretap in your entire business operation. That's all right.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
So everything about them is bureaucratic. Like this nation would be like, you got your papers. Everything would be, you got your papers.
Yeah, like you come into the city, you have your papers, right? You're gonna have to go back and deal with the embassy back at your place before you come back here.
Before you can actually,
you need your papers.
Okay.
You got in the first gate, cool. Okay, it's time for your security screening. Papers, please.
So,
cool. All right, cool. You're going through. Oh wait, this paper doesn't look like our writing. No. The halfling at the embassy wrote it. I'm gonna have to call him up just to make sure.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to wait over there with my bodyguards,
and
my 2 dragonborn bodyguards over there.
And the whole time they're swindling everybody. All right. Well, they're not swindling. They're picking pocket stuff.
You know, you could make this go a hell of a lot easier if you just gave me 5 gold. That's all I'm asking. Bing, bang, boom. You're stamped out. Come on.
So maybe, and I'm putting this here. I can delete this if you want, or you can. But maybe they also know about the Dragonborn secret. But not even the Dragonborns know that they know.
Yeah, like they know about it, but no one else knows that they know about
exactly. So they know they have this ticket in their pocket. They know that they have leverage if they ever needed to use it, but they won't until they have to. Which would be good, because that way you don't have to go to the Dragonborn to get this dark secret. You can do dealings with the Halflings. I mean, I'm talking like the players specifically. That way the players don't have to only...
Like, I think the hardest charisma, the hardest people to get to, like, of course, they'd be on board immediately.
Yeah.
For getting all the nations back, getting all the rulers back together.
Oh yeah.
But they would make the players go through so much that eventually the players would be burnt out by it. Like they'd just be like, you know what? We're gonna go get the Dragonborn first.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you do that though, there's more paperwork when you get back.
Well, not only that, but the paperwork that you signed means that we got to go with you, and we're gonna do what we're gonna do.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Like I imagine there would be the party, and then there'd just be the fucking halfling there, taking notes and just jotting down expenses and like having a ledger book, fucking full by the time that they get to the first nation.
I like that.
And they're just like, I need to buy more books.
I like that. All right, that's good. That's really, really good actually. So again, these bullet points are just things that we can single out,
we can flush
it out, boom, as we need to. I like this a lot. Okay, so for the gnomes, chilling with my gnomies. What do we know about fucking gnomes? Like nothing.
I don't know a whole lot. Yeah.
So one thing that we know,
I would probably have it be almost like Japan, where they just recently came to the big boy table. Like they're like before if it wasn't for Balthazar vouching for the gnomes wouldn't have a seat at this table, kind of thing.
Okay. So here. Just going off of let's just start with the bullet points of D&D Beyond. Yes, they are the youngest country. In fact, we're going to put that We're gonna put that in here. The youngest country to be recognized by the, we're gonna put this in quotes, world government. Cool. So they're the youngest country. That actually has huge implications there, because that could mean a bunch of different things. But what we know about gnomes is that A, they are very inherently tied to arcane magic. The shit's coming out of their pores.
Yeah.
To the point where they all get that intelligence bump of 2 in game mechanically, right? So this is we can extrapolate what how they're supposed to feel just off of like D&D stats, right? So they're super old. They can live up to about what 350 to almost 500 years old.
They're not as old as elves usually are.
No, because those are about 700 to 800, sometimes 1,000.
Yeah.
Like gnomes are old, dude. So they've been here, but they haven't been recognized until recently. We're talking like 60 years recently, right? They're super smart.
I would have it be like every other nation kind of looks down on the gnomes.
Yeah,
the gnomes are
the
like
smallest.
the bookkeepers. The gnomes, like if you're dealing with the halflings, you have to have a gnome there because a gnome knows. Wait. Subsection 24-A to B
I hate ads.
is a little different than you said. So you might want to reread your contract, kind of thing.
Sure. So
like have them. I would have them be. If you're making law, like yes, the halflings make law. The halflings are good at judiciary working like that. But the people that are able to understand it and help them the most with that would be the gnomes. For the longest time, that was taken advantage of by all the other civilizations. Balthazar comes in and goes, they're substantial. They need to be their own nation.
Yeah.
Y'all can't keep subjugating them like this.
So here's another thing. Just mechanically speaking, gnomes have advantage on all wisdom, intelligence, and charisma saving throws against magic. Which means that they, again, super magically inclined. I would even go so far as to say that, like, if gnomes were being, not subjugated, but if they were being looked down on for all of this time, for literally hundreds of years until just like the recent history.
Yeah.
There's a possibility that they wanted to be there. You know what I mean?
You know what?
They wanted to be there. Now, why? Why would you want to put yourself at the bottom of the barrel?
You know what? Because they piss off the elves. They are more whereas the elves used to be the god. Like the elves are the biggest magic nation, but it takes 3 elves to do with to conjure up the same magic that one gnome could do, kind of thing.
Especially when you consider the fact
gnomes are
that
and maybe even have it be elves throw out propaganda against the gnomes, making them seem untrustworthy and all of that stuff. Whereas the gnomes are just like, no, we just don't care.
So, okay, here's a good one. So, here's the difference right here, right? The elves deified beings that then granted them power, right?
Mm-hmm.
The gnomes have this power without needing a deity.
An innate power. Yeah.
So they automatically get this, and it's not natural power, right? They're not making trees grow and shit like that. They can literally bend the weave to their will naturally.
Yeah.
So let's see, them being the youngest, them being arcane focused instead of natural or divine focused in this specific planet, right? Like not broad form, but in this specific planet.
Yeah.
Where would they want to be? They want to be under, right? I mean, granted that we could even say that maybe they have like a bad taste in their mouth from Balthazar, the charismatic leader. Basically outing them because they were like, no, shut up, dude, shut up. Like, they don't know. They don't know. And he was like, dude, these guys are fucking crazy. And they're like, damn it. Yep, we're here. Fuck. Man.
The shy guy who's on the right side of the stage, and then someone drags him out. It's like, look at our new assistant. All right.
So now what is it about their country that they bring? I'm
just
to
a
the
soundstage guy. Don't pay attention to me.
What is it about their particular nation that they can bring to the table of these negotiations of this world government? Because I'm trying to figure out what it is. There's got to be something. You know what I mean? There has to be something.
So you mean like what makes them what makes them unique compared to, like, for example, the dwarves being able to hold all of the metal and go, we mine, and the elves being able to go, we make the gods, and the halflings being able to go, we are the barterers. We have
the meats. Sorry.
I think.
So what I'm looking for is like they've got something. They have magic power, and they don't want anyone to know that they have it. So
I think possibly innate understanding, maybe like an innate understanding, like they can look at something of everything. They can look at, like, the dwarfs could show them an arm, and they could go, I know 3 ways to make this better, just by looking at this and like looking it over with magic.
Okay,
I know how to make it more efficient, more powerful, and stronger, more durable.
So they are the more cyberpunk people, because that's so in your world, right? Like the cyberpunk augmentations are the explanation of magic using science, right?
Exactly.
Maybe this is what they bring. Maybe they innately understand formulas. They understand science. They have this. While they've been suppressed or oppressed, right? They've actually managed to utilize science. So when they came out, people were like, why do they have robot parts? Why do they have fucking like weird eyes and there's what are lasers? What is this?
Yeah, no,
so
no,
they
no, no,
have this.
Yes. Whereas the elves, like the dwarves, come up with this idea of a metal arm that is more resilient than flesh arms, so it can dig for longer, dig faster, and dig stronger.
Yes.
The elves look at that and go, I could put magic onto that thing and make it better.
I could put divine
gnomes
and natural magic.
The gnomes look at that thing and go, I can make that
lasers,
better,
bro.
I can make that better because you're using a socket joint and you should be using a ball joint for that wrist or whatever.
So they're far more technologically superior than the elves.
Yes, exactly. That's
and
what
the
pushes
elves
them,
hate them for it.
Because in this society, magic is being not cast aside, but magic is being pushed off to the right side for the stronger representation of, why not just do it with technology though?
Oh, dude, that is.
Why do you need to spend? Do you need to spend
there it is.
10 hours casting a spell when I can just look over there and laser sight them, and then nuke comes in?
So we can take the idea of arcane magic, throw that away. Throw the idea of arcane magic away, and we'll say that their magic is technology.
Is innate. Yeah, is innate understanding of anything they see.
Gnomes,
they can just understand and make better immediately.
We'll say that gnomes invented the abacus, basically, right? Like, think about the implications of that. We could say that gnomes were the first people to quantify like math, and they're the ones. So this is their teachings. Oh, dude, they are the scientific, in all caps, powerhouse.
Yeah. So whereas
that's fucking
the dwarves are blacksmithers, and are miners, the gnomes are more tinkerers.
Dude, the gnomes Oh yes, the gnomes came in. The gnomes came into the dwarves, and they were like, "Hey, find us all of this silicon, and we can make fucking superconductors and transistors."
Exactly.
And the the dwarves were like, "What the fuck is that?" They're like, "This like
right
I
imagine
here that
it being.
have?
I imagine it being
great.
Balthazar at the first meeting, going, "Listen, here's an idea for something." It goes like the dwarfs understand the idea, but they don't understand how to get to that idea. The elves are just like, we can do that we have magic mirror. We don't need a cell phone. What the fuck are you doing? The gnomes go, yo, dwarfs, I need you to do this, this, and this. Give me that. I'll make one.
Yep.
Immediately.
So
next day, boom, here you go, prototype phone.
So the gnomes are all artificers on this particular planet. Basically, that's what they are. There are a few that are like not lawmakers, but that are like judges, where they have the book of law in their head. I mean,
but most of them are artificers.
Yep. They're those people who actually read the terms of service when it gets updated. Perfect.
Yeah.
I love it. I actually like that because now it makes me actually want to play a gnome in this planet.
Yeah.
Because you think of gnomes, man, you're like, fuck, dude, who wants to be a little...
I mean, that was the thing, was we had to sit there and go,
up.
Yo, go to D&D Beyond and tell me what the fucking gnomes do, because none of us have ever played a gnome before.
Yeah. I mean, the only gnome that I've ever even seen get played is Deborah Wolf on Crit Roll, and that was like, she was playing like a literal type of gnome from like the olden days. But,
yeah.
All right.
I just thought of it.
What?
So remember that point of the dragons did something bad?
Yeah.
Tieflings are half demon, half whatever other race.
Yeah.
What if the Dragonborn were summoning demons to kind of just, hey, I'm tired of those fucking elves over there. They're pesky. Go kill them. And that's where the tieflings come from. Like the tieflings are the Dragonborn's dark secret, almost.
Okay, so that's not what I wanted to do. All right, so let's. Oh god, I just realized I've been doing this whole thing without background music. I'm so sorry. I've been playing with no background music for a while because I muted an ad and we got too into it. Sorry, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell for notifications, and comment below how much of an idiot I am for forgetting the background music for like 15 whole minutes. All right, so tieflings. So the tiefling, would you say that tieflings have a nation, or would you say that they're more looked at as like a parasite because these dudes just came out of nowhere in all different regions? Because if the gnomes are the youngest country to be recognized, that would mean that tieflings are either older than them, like old enough, so this happened long ago enough to where it's been mostly forgotten about, that the tieflings are the byproduct of dark rituals with dragonborns and then demons having non-consensual adult relations with elves.
I kind of want to say that like the Dragonborn were making pacts with devils. The dwarves and elves come and stop them, and then later on, hey, there's this new dragon, like half draconic race, like that look half demon, half dragon. That's where the tieflings come from. And then over time, I would make the tieflings almost like gypsy-esque, maybe. Or like they travel, like they're kind of just migratory, where they just go where they want to, and then now you've got elvish tieflings, and now you've got human tieflings, and probably not dwarvish tieflings because
well, for what it's worth,
I mean, stick to themselves.
For what it's worth, tieflings breed true, so you could put insert fiend with anything, and you're just gonna get a tiefling, unless you have it in your world to where they have half tiefling, half dragonborn, half tiefling, half elf.
Well, because tiefling is just half demon, half whatever race.
It's fiend blood in there somewhere, right? But no matter what, a tiefling itself that has sex with, or that procreates, we'll call it, with another species, just makes another tiefling. So they look just like a tiefling. They wouldn't have this again is just canon. You can have it be whatever you want in your world, and anybody watching should always remember, as a DM, the rules are guidelines. They're not hard and fast. But just saying, by the canon, they're just people who have fiendish blood that comes out in some way or another. But if you wanted them to be like, oh dude, these dragonborn, like their horns look odd, Isn't that weird? Why do
Yeah,
they have,
exactly.
Why do they have
Most
fleshy
Dragonborn
bits all of a
horns just
sudden?
go like straight back. These ones are curled. And
These
stuff
ones
like that.
curved
like
to the
these-
front?
Yeah.
That's weird. Okay, okay. Sick. I like that. Okay, so tieflings are, you want to call them like mostly the third world country? Like, you don't have a country of tieflings. You have like
The tieflings
tribes
have their own
or
representative.
small
Yeah.
groups.
Like that's the thing, and that's the thing is in the player's handbook, like most tieflings are thought of like are kind of like outcasts. You know, they live in the slums of the city. They're not chumming it up with everyone in the big tavern.
Yeah.
They're in the slinky like mom and pa tavern.
So
there.
They
None of the
don't have a
adventurers
place to call home. Right?
Like yeah. Like I would say the dragonborn civilization is maybe a big populace of them, but they're also kind of like the humans. There's a little bit of them everywhere else too.
Yeah. Okay. So they're a non-united group of people, which means that they don't have their, well, come on, apostrophes. So they don't have their own borders, right? They don't have their own actual soil that they say this is the land of the tieflings. Instead, they share space with, we'll say just for now, broad strokes, all other races, right? You'll always find a tiefling or two in some spots. In most places, you'll find, groups of them that just kind of, that have their trailer parks outside of city limits. So, that being said, that means that they make, in general, for great traveling, let's just list it off. Salesmen.
I was gonna say entertainers, salesmen, and clerical. Like
clericals.
They're not. Yeah. Like if you need someone to take a note, they're there being able to take the note.
Okay, so
and then during the nighttime,
attendants.
they're the bar singer. They're the entertainers, if you will.
So they make for natural salesmen, entertainers, attendants. They're very charismatic. So they are like usually. Here, let's put this down here. Usually seen as charlatans, right? Like they're like, they have a rap for being scoundrels. Like, get away from him. He's a tiefling. Ew. You know what I mean? So
here it is directly from D&D Beyond. Tieflings subsist in small minorities found mostly in human cities or towns, often in the roughest quarters of those places where they grow up to be swindlers, thieves, or crime lords.
Yeah.
Sometimes they live among other minority populations in enclaves where they are treated with more respect. So maybe like instead of the humans, because they were summoned by the Dragonborn, they started off at the Dragonborn, and the Dragonborn just like because that's their great shame, they're kind of just like, we put up with you, but we tolerate you, but you do that shit again, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of you, and you're not gonna be able to talk ever again.
Yeah.
So then a lot of them migrated out trying to get respect from the elves and stuff like that. So whereas in the Dragonborn, a lot of the entertainers and like musical acts, dancers, stuff like that will be tieflings because that's what they're known for there. Outside of that, they're able to, like in other places, like the elves, for example, might trust them with taking notes down or something else. And then the dwarves probably don't trust them that much, but are like, hey, you're good at doing this one thing that we're not that great at, so you can help there. Okay. They're getting, like, depending on the place that you go to, is what position they might have.
All right. I like that. So they are, let's see. So they're like an everyman. Mm-hmm. They are the illegal aliens of this world. You can find them everywhere. They do the jobs nobody else wants, and it usually ends up being ones that are public servants or in some sort of service industry. So that being the case, let's see. What would that say about their culture as a whole? Like, you get roving bands of gypsies from back in the day, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they
that's
have,
what I'm imagining.
They all have their superstitions, or maybe they do. Maybe all tieflings have some sort of a superstition of some sort, or like they all follow these like loose sort of rules of like you never wrong another tiefling. If someone comes to your home and they bring food, like, their family, you know what I mean? Like, shit like that, because it would make them tight knit. If they're getting shit on from everybody else, like from all these other nations, then maybe that means that they are very close knit with the people who treat them right. And with
yeah. Like the same thing with the Dragonborn, where they don't break their bonds, where they don't break their vows now.
Yeah, except that they don't have they don't have the luxury of hiding behind a wall.
I would say the tieflings are almost the exact same way. Where if you show kindness to a tiefling, they will stick by your side and defend you through thick and thin, because you were there and nice to them. Whereas most people kind of just shit.
Family oriented. So they're close-knit and family-oriented, which means that you've made a friend for life if you've made a friend with the tiefling. Because they A, won't trust you initially. If you offer them a token of mutual respect, or if you offer them some sort of like gift, right? Then that means that a tiefling, broad strokes, of course you're going to get assholes everywhere, but if you offer them this, more often than not, they'll be like, yeah, dude, fuck yeah, which means that they are, I'm going to use the sleeper term again, so they're a sleeper ally. People don't realize, most nations, I would say by a huge majority, don't realize the potential for tieflings. If tieflings were to stop roaming and just go to anywhere and settle, you could not get them out without like final option, like what's the term for nuclear firepower? It's like the not I want to say final solution, but that's a totally different one. But there's the nuclear option or whatever, right? So if
the mutually assured destruction.
No. I mean, like there's a term that we use for the use of nuclear capabilities, right? Which is like the final nuclear option. Anyways, so basically
the nuclear option is a thing. The final word, maybe? I don't know.
Something like that. At any rate, so basically that would make tieflings, by and large, a sleeper ally, because nobody realizes that there's these roving bands in the same vein as the humans, except to a smaller degree. There's these roving bands of people that if you just treated them right, they would die for you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
So
like, that's the thing is, I'm imagining Alfred to Bruce Wayne, you know?
Yeah.
I originally served your father, and now I'm serving you because I'm in a lifeline. I'm in a lifetime of gratitude to you.
Yeah. So treat them right. They'll be a fierce. Oh, that's not how you spell that. Fierce. I'm gonna use ally again. If you treat them right, they'll be a fierce ally for you. That's good. That means that there's something that you can. Basically, what I'm getting at with that is that there's something that you as the DM can use to pull some strings with us as the players. So
yeah.
And you can rest assured that I'm gonna forget most of this by the time that we actually get to this planet, if we even get to this planet. But like, I'm really digging this. I really like what we've got here, because this is telling me that we have at least the basis for a phenomenal, like, when all of these nations do meet up at the end of the first arc of this quest, where we have to gather delegates back from everybody.
Yeah,
dude, it's gonna be a straight up Mexican standoff in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
because I can immediately see. So I've got about 10 minutes left until I'm gonna have to take my leave. But this means that what we can do is we can start making treaty lists. So this is getting into what they call political intrigue.
yeah.
So you started with a fetch quest. You're ending with a political intrigue. This could even be a whole campaign right here, just in itself.
Well, yeah. But I mean, I'm like with the way that we have all of the races presented now. Like, you could just look at this and go, okay, so all of these meet at a table. Immediately you can tell who's gonna hate who, who's gonna be like, I'm not listening to you, and who's gonna be sitting there going, all right, come on, let's try and work together, kind of thing.
Yeah. So okay, so we've got, let's make our treaty list. We can say which nations are going to want to unite, and which ones are gonna be far more hesitant to unite. That's the question, right? Because
do you want to save this for next time, or you want to do this real quick now?
I mean, we can.
Because I mean, like, off the top of my head, I can already tell you, like,
so.
All right,
so,
of course, dwarves would get along with. I think dwarves would not get along too well with the halflings. With the humans, they'd be fine with. Gnomes and tieflings are probably their greatest assets. Like, they work great with gnomes. The tieflings, they accept wholeheartedly.
Hold on, one sec. Hold on. Don't get ahead of me now. I'm sorry. I'm trying to type. I originally had this as for uniting and against it. Let's take that off the table right now. We'll just call this Party A and Party B, and then what we can do is we can do a secret Party C afterwards. So Party C is the fun part. So Party A has elves, whereas Party B is going to have gnomes. For sure.
Okay.
Because gnomes and elves, well, so elves and dwarves work together. Gnomes and dwarves work together.
No.
Oh.
Dwarves and elves work, but like, it's the same thing as if I stabbed you, and 5 years down the line, you and I are electricians. You work with me, but you still are keeping an eye out on me every time that you can, because you don't know when I'm going to stab you again.
Okay, yeah. So
that's what I'm imagining. The gnomes, like, everyone's working together.
Yeah.
But some parties like the gnomes and dwarves get along great, because the elves hate the dwarves. I mean, the elves hate the gnomes, and the dwarves hate the elves, so they're immediately like, yo.
Yeah.
We're fucking best friends.
So that means that the dwarves and elves are unwilling participants, whereas the dwarves and the gnomes they're in like Flynn. So that means Party B has Party B. Anyways, Party B. Oh, that's fucked. I'm not gonna stop laughing at that internally. Has gnomes and dwarves, which means that the elves. Who do the elves get along with more so than
I
other
would
ones?
say
probably humans, right? I mean, if they're punching down.
I would say yeah. Like, elves get along with humans and tieflings, because
they look down on them.
Get any. Well, yeah. Tieflings get any sign of respect, and they're like, yo, I'm your best friend.
Yeah.
Whereas elves are all about going, the other day my peasant came up to me and almost gave me a cup of red wine when I asked for white. What's the deal with that? You know? But the tiefling's just like, he drank the wine, so I'm happy about that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, he drank that wine that I gave him. Oh, yay. Yeah. Senpai. Okay, cool. So then you've got gnomes and dwarves, Who would they give me one more for party B? Halflings? I guess because halflings should get along with everybody more or less. But also I feel like gnomes would be the only ones who are smart enough to utilize halflings for what they are.
Yeah. Gnomes, I think dwarves would be against the idea of dealing with the halflings, but they have to. But then eventually they eventually warmed up to the halflings because the gnomes are like, no, all their stuff is sound logic. It makes perfect sense. It's
you know what I just realized?
Too convoluted for you.
I just realized that we just put all of the short people into one group.
Oh my god, we did, didn't we?
Nope, we're keeping it.
But I think as well, I think the Dragonborn would be in Party B as well.
You sure? Because if they're locked off from
no. So that's the thing is, Dragonborn are true to their word.
Yeah.
And
as
dwarves are basically the same thing. Where if a dwarf tells you, "I'm gonna do that," they're gonna do it, but they it just might be like, cool, I'm gonna get to this, and then someone like their boss comes to them and goes, hey, I need you to do this thing, and they go do that. Like their king comes to them and goes, I need this kind of prosthetic, and they go, I'll do that first, and then I'll come get your thing. So I imagine the Dragonborn get along with that, as well as they'll probably get along with the gnomes because the gnomes just innately understand them, and they're like, nah, you did something wrong, don't hold yourself down over it.
Come on.
And then the halflings, everyone has to get along with the halfling. Yeah. But the halflings know their secret, even though the Dragonborn don't know that. The halflings are always hinting towards, it's the same thing.
Yeah, because they can't help themselves.
If I knew your deep dark secret, and I don't lord it over you, then do I really know your deep dark secret, or am I just saying that? So
I got you.
I might hint at it here and there, man, it'd be a shame if you didn't give me $20. It would be a shame if you didn't pay for my energy drink.
But here's the thing.
It'd be a shame if it'd be a shame if Lady Boner found out,
Yeah, you can call her Amanda, it's fine. But so here's the other thing is, right? I put this as a maybe. So what I put for halflings is that they also know about the Dragonborn secret, but nobody, including the Dragonborn, knows that they know. If they were dumb to where they were gonna start hinting at it, they'd get the sus face, what? How?
Well, I think it would be more I think it would be more vague than that. It wouldn't be directly hinting at we know that you summoned the demons, but it would be there's this history point where
things just get really
out
weird.
Of nowhere.
Yeah,
the tieflings just appear out of nowhere.
I like that. Okay.
And that's cool. Not quite on the history, but that that's that kind of hinting of just vague enough where if you were if you were looking from a top-down perspective, you would see where it's going.
Yeah.
But from from the FPS point of view, you just see the waypoint, and you're like, okay, well, I'm gonna go there then.
So, all right. If that's the case, let's see here. So if that's the case, then we have exactly what I had thought we were gonna have when I said that there was a cabal of allies. Party C is that cabal. So Party C has to have halflings. Has to have halflings. They're gonna inject themselves. Being that they're the people who have all of the actual knowledge of truths and people's dark, dirty secrets. That means that they're probably the ones who spearhead this Party C, because they have ultimate control, even though nobody knows that they do. Right? Nobody suspects that they have ultimate control. So if that's the case, who are they gonna bring in with them? I
know the gnomes, the gnomes for sure, because even if the halflings are controlling everything, they need someone to enact that control.
Yeah, and if they have the people who are
the gnomes would be the second
most
best
scientific,
people to do that.
Yeah, they would 100%. So who's the other people?
And then
humans?
I think either tieflings or humans.
I think both. I think tieflings and humans. So they utilize humans and they utilize tieflings.
Yeah. And if you really want to, we could throw the orcs in there instead.
Because we didn't even do orcs.
Well, because the
We just went
orcs
with
isn't
PHB.
the orcs isn't a playable race in the PFP.
In the PHP,
I mean the PHP.
Yeah, true.
But
we have
thinking
a lot
about
more.
it,
Yeah.
I'm
Let's
imagining
save that for
orcs
later.
are kind of the same thing. I'm imagining orcs are kind of this, like, just for teaser for next time. I'm imagining orcs as the same thing as humans, just not as trusted because, of course, it's an orc. Like, if I see a giant, like, let's say that orcs are 7 feet tall in this world. If I see a giant bucktooth orc. Oh, thank you. I'll do that in a second. If I see a giant bucktooth orc with an axe in a forest, my first thought is not going to be, oh, he's chopping down a tree. My first thought is going to be, I'm about to fucking die. Oh shit, you know.
Sure.
So
I can understand that.
So I think next week we bring in a few more, like, over this next week, you and I can still get together and that's a good stretch. We can get together and go, okay, this is what I'm thinking for this, or like this is more flesh out for this, and we have the document right here. Yeah. But I think next week we bring in, let's say, 4 more races, and then go, okay, let's get more descriptive with the previous races. Let's add in these 4 races, and how are they unique compared to everyone else, or are they similar to like this and that, you know? And then each week afterwards, we do this. Yeah. Then over the week, we kind of just flesh it out more and more, and then the next week we bring in a few more, and we go flesh.
Okay.
Same thing over and over.
I like it. All right, is your ultimate goal to get every playable race option in D&D Beyond in this?
No, because again, like example, you have the
we don't have to get into the example. We don't have to get the. we're running long.
Well, but I mean, like, you have the Kenku and the Kenku and the Arakocra, which is just bird people, and you have a bunch of other small races. We could just have that as their own nation.
Small races.
And then, well, I mean, like the Eladon, the Turtles. You know, you could have them as their own miniature coalition, and then they have their representative at this table, you know.
Dude, there's 40. But what I'm getting at is maybe make a list of all of the races that you want to be allowed in here. Because, I mean, you probably won't put, like, bugbears in here. Maybe you have goblins, sure, but I don't know if you'll probably put bugbears.
I think the goblins and the orcs would be the same thing as the Arakocra and the King.
Yeah. Tridents, Vidalkins, Verdun, like UNT.
Yeah, like it's like the big bird and the small bird, the big orc and the small.
Yeah,
orc,
we can group a lot of these together. And so we can come up with a list, have it ready for maybe next week, maybe the week after, because I really like where we're going with just the base 7, and just since those are like the big 7, right? I really like where we're going with this, and I want to flesh this out.
That is the thing is, most of the people, like, we don't have to have this completely fleshed out for this first party, because it seems like most of the people that want to play D&D in the server are like fresh beginners, and they're gonna want to bring their own characters in, which we can do through the narrative, no problem.
Nice.
And then, you know, just be like, yeah, cool. Like, you're a half monkey, half dude. Cool.
All right.
There's an explanation for that in the D&D books.
Well, in that case, I think that you're just going to have to tune in to see what we do next week.
Tune in next time.
In the next iteration of the DM Homebrew Hangout, or whatever we end up calling it. I think I'll stick with DM Homebrew Hangout. I like this.
I like DM Homebrew Hangout.
This is a nice chill.
Yeah.
Well, this is Anthony on my end. YouTube Warboner Gaming, Twitch TV./ something Warboner 8055. Stop by. Don't forget subs, follows, likes, comments. You can also comment on all this stuff after the fact. I'll see it in both chats. Have a good night, and what about you? Throw some self promo out there for people on the other side who don't know who you are.
Name's Aldebrecht, Papa Al, Papa Aldebrecht on Twitch, and Aldebrecht Keimler on Twitter.
All right, I'll make sure to get.
Those are my 2 platforms.
Yeah. All right, I'll make sure to get a good graphic out there. But until next time.